Good morning, folks. Just in the middle of a busy working weekend, and I had an interesting appointment with a client yesterday who he's a rugby player, back training, doing little bits and pieces of runs, and he said something really interesting to me. He said, "David, I did the same workout as some of my mates over the last few days, last few weeks, and when I was talking to them the day after and the day after that, their legs were in bits, particularly their quads, the front of their thigh. They were, Jesus, I can really feel that workout." And he said to me, no matter what I do, I never feel my quads working. I don't really feel my legs at all, so I can do the workout and I don't really feel anything. And it's either he's really, really conditioned and he doesn't, have it's not enough of a stress response in the system to load his quads strongly enough that creates that adaptation, creates that little bit of delayed onset of muscle soreness, or he's not moving in such a way that puts the stress or the force through those tissues. So he then said to me, and do you know what I did? I did an experiment. I went and put myself into the gym and tried to smoke my quads, tried to just work them as hard as I could, and I couldn't feel them. So when we looked at him, there were reasons why his brain was struggling to load through his quads. We treated some stuff, we had that, and then I put him in an exercise. And he said to me, okay, I can feel my quads now. And all that it was just getting a few positions right for him. So instead of allowing him to load in such a way that made his hamstrings and calves do maybe his glute do maybe 80% of the work and his quad do 20%, we just tweaked a couple of little positions in an exercise and it made him just go, bam, it lit up his quads. So it's just a little consideration. If you're not feeling the tissue groups that you should be feeling during an exercise, more than likely the way that you're performing the exercise is not putting force through those tissue groups. Sounds fairly self-explanatory, but if you've had that experience of not feeling your legs work in an exercise or a body part work in an exercise, there's something wrong with the position and how you're doing it. A similar example would be, for myself, I used to do pull-ups and I would never feel my abs. And it was only whenever a mate of mine over in London said to me, "David, you should feel your abs in every set of pull-ups." He said, "Let me see how you do them." And I was doing my pull-ups with a big extension in my spine, basically meaning I wasn't putting any force through my abdominals. He corrected that for me, and immediately I couldn't hardly do a pull-up because I'd been doing pull-ups, I thought right, but obviously wrong for quite a long time. And it's just that little tweak in position sometimes means that you can stop avoiding force going through a certain set of tissues and you can actually get it to where it needs to go. So if you've had that experience, you haven't had muscle that should be loading well for you, get in touch. There's probably a small little couple of tweaks we can do to make sure that your body will start loading those tissues properly. And it's probably a small little positional change in some parts of the body around the pelvis or the ribs or wherever it is that will make that kind of light up for you. And that will make you a better all-round mover, all-round human being in terms of your movement strategy, and a better athlete because it gives you options to disperse forces versus overloading some tissues because you're avoidant of something else. Hopefully that makes sense. Have a good weekend.